Original post, April 7, 2024. My girlfriend and I started dating when she was 20 and I was 22. Despite having been a couple for many years, we do not live together. I spend a lot of time in her apartment and sleep there almost all the time. She mentioned marriage after 2 years we started dating, but then she stopped. A week ago, I proposed to her, bought her a ring, and made her a romantic dinner, but she said she didn't want to marry me. That she preferred our relationship to continue as it was before. I'm almost 35, and I want to marry her, live together, and start a family, but now I don't know what our plans really are. I don't really know if I should continue the relationship or just break up. It hurts me, but I really love her, and I don't know what to do in this situation. What would be the best way to approach this delicate situation with my girlfriend, considering our differences about marriage and our future plans together? Relevant comments. Comment 1. You talk to her? Like you should have before proposing? What do you mean that you don't know what her plans really are? Have the questions of whether she ever wants children and whether she ever wants to get married not come up in the last 10 years? OP, like I said, she mentioned it at first but then she didn't. Comment 2. What's wrong with staying together and not being married? OP, but she doesn't want us to live together either. Comment 3. When you stay at her place, do you clean up after yourself? Do you make meals and contribute toward groceries? You said you sleep at her apartment almost every night. Do you contribute financially? Why doesn't she ever stay at your place? I get major red flags from the 12-year wait and the fact that you're always at her place. I think the relationship is over. She wanted to marry you until she got a look at what a future with you would be like. Maybe she's happy enough to continue as things are, but she certainly doesn't want to have children with you. P.S. After 12 years you didn't even take her out to dinner? What about flowers? Did you at least pay for the food you made? Did you wash the dishes and clean the kitchen afterward? OP, yes, I help her clean and cook. Sometimes I contribute to buy things too. I think it's because of the distance, she lives quite close to her work. Yes, we go on dates twice a month. Update post, April 9, 2024, 2 days later. I spoke to her last night. We had a long and somewhat awkward conversation. She said that before she really wanted to get married and that she didn't expect a ring after 2 years, she just wanted to talk about it at that time to plan a better future together. When she talked about marriage, I told her it wasn't the time. Still she waited, but when she turned 28 she realized that the ring was never going to arrive. She said she no longer wanted to get married or live together. She appreciates her own space, and even though I spend time with her in her apartment, it is still her own space. Regarding children, she does want to have children, but even when the baby arrives, we will not live together. It would be like sharing custody and going out together as a family, and still being a couple. She also mentioned that she needed 6 months to a year for her body to detoxify from the contraceptive, but she will still consult her gynecologist. She said that these are her terms and that I was completely free to accept them and continue the relationship or break up and pursue what I want. And I really don't know what to do. I really regret not giving her the ring sooner. Plus, she has spent 12 years agreeing to my terms. I do not really know what to do. Story 2, my husband's new female friend sent a text that gave me the ick, and I'm questioning her intentions. Am I being silly? Original post, April 2, 2024. So, I'll start by saying I'm generally quite a secure person and have never felt like I had any issues around this until I read a message sent to my husband yesterday, and I'm kind of spiraling. Sorry, this may be long. For some backstory, my husband does downhill biking. Has since he was very young, knows his stuff, he's out there every day. Generally, rides with the same group of guys, but they mostly stick to weekends. My husband goes out every day of the week luckily because his job allows him to. If he's out on his own and the dogs are free, he'll take the dogs. They love it. So around 6 months ago he was out in the morning, with the dogs, and ended up coming home earlier than usual. While he was out, he found this girl who fell off and had badly injured her arm and wrist. As you can imagine, he's done the same numerous times, and knew exactly what to do and where to go to get seen quicker. He got her to the car park, packed the dogs and bikes up, and took her to the hospital, and he came home. All good. Around a week after this, one of the guys he rides with sent him a screenshot of a post in a Facebook group that was made for people specifically who build and maintain the bike trails. It went something like, "I'm looking for someone called my husband's name who helped me last week when I fell and got me to hospital. He drove a truck like my husband's, and had 3 dogs, then listed our dogs' names." She had posted in a few groups before being linked to the group for the trail builders, who my husband goes out there with. My husband isn't on social media, so he said he could send her his number. She texts him to double-check she had the right person. He said it was and that he was glad she was feeling better, and he was happy to help. She offered him money or to take him for lunch, which he declined and just said again that he was happy to help. They text back and forth every now and then, her initiating, and it's mostly "Hey, how are you, hope you're well" type stuff, until she starts getting better and can ride again. It turns to, "Hey, we should hit the trails sometime." Now, without tooting his horn for him, he's very good. Used to ride competitively when he was younger, same with a lot of the guys he rides with. Most people at the park know who they are and generally, if they hear them coming, will just get to the side and watch them pass. He tries to decline her offer in a way not to offend her, but there's no way she can keep up with them. There's a section that's just big jumps to practice on. He says maybe next time he's on those he'll give her a shout and they can meet up there. Eventually, that happens and he gives her a few tips. This then turns into her texting him more often about biking, asking for him to tutor her, and just general stuff. This goes on for the next couple of months. There seems to be a friendship starting. I've never once had any concerns about this and was quite happy for him to continue, and they do. So yesterday he went out with the dogs and bumped into her. Said they spoke for a while and went on a ride before he came home. She started texting him when he got home, and I could see these messages coming through the iPad as I was using it. To be clear, he's not hiding the texts, he openly leaves his phone lying around, no passcode. Lets our daughter play on it. Happy for me to use it. Doesn't get weird or secretive about it in the slightest. He knows the iPad and laptop are linked to his phone and it can all be seen by anyone using them. He has never given me cause for concern. It's her intentions I'm not too sure about at this point. So anyway. The dogs. We have 3 working gun dogs used in the fields regularly, and while they can look like they're running right down these trails, they are extremely well trained and tuned into whatever my husband is doing. Which becomes more apparent when he's not on the trails, and they're following, watching his every move. These texts started on about the dogs for a bit when she sent a text which ended in the following: "Like a slave looking to please their master." Admittedly, I don't care for emojis and the texting garb people use nowadays. I don't even know what the face means, frankly. But something about this made me feel icky, and I feel like there's an undertone going on here. He replied but seemed to ignore that last comment. However, this caused me to think back on her communication, and feel like I've noticed a few red flags. 1. She always initiates. 2. If she doesn't get a reply, she seems to keep sending messages until he replies. 3. Not once has she ever referenced or acknowledged the fact that he's married or has a family. Even when he mentioned that he's been away for my birthday, or that he's going to our daughter's dancing show, she'll change the subject as if she's pretending we don't exist, or to close down any mention of us. 4. She often makes excuses for them to meet up. One-on-one. I'm sure there's more, but I don't want to scour through every message and feed into this more than I already have in case it's nothing, but am I crazy for thinking there may be something going on with her? I don't want to bring it up in case it is nothing and I look like I'm being paranoid. It just isn't sitting right. I'm also pregnant, and the hormones are doing their thing. Should I say something? Or leave it and monitor this more closely for a bit? Or is this the effect of a 30-something pregnant mom whose husband seems to be aging like a fine wine, and any female he meets doing what he loves, being in amazing shape due to the hobby? Relevant comments. Comment 1. I am kind of like your husband. I do a lot of helping people, in a different vein though. And there are a lot of rather lonely and awkward people out there who just keep messaging once they have my contact info, men and women. I think you've handled this with grace. But I think it's totally reasonable for you to have a talk with hubby and just say, "Dude, she's pretty pushy and you're not doing anything wrong, but I'd appreciate it if you'd shut her down and just tell her that you're not in a position to be a coach and your ride time is focused so you can help her. She sounds a little starstruck and needy, but he's not doing anything wrong here, so I wouldn't make it a big hairy deal. OP, thank you. I just don't want to be the pregnant wife who demands he blocks women because I'm making things up in my head." Comment 2. He ran into her while he was out walking his dogs. Was that a planned meeting? Does she live near you? Oh hell no. That's stalker behavior. He needs to cut her off now. OP. No, the bike park. He was up with the dogs when she spotted them and called one over. Honestly, I have no idea where she lives. I know very little about her other than she's much younger than me. Comment 3. Totally not on topic, but what are gun dogs? Sounds like your husband is just being nice, but that chick is being scandalous. Sometimes men don't pick up on this stuff, so I bring it to his attention and talk about how you both should handle this psycho disrespectful woman. OP hunting dogs, ours are used weekly for flushing and retrieving. Thank you. I've had enough comments to make me feel confident enough that I'm not being dramatic. We'll be talking to him about it once our daughter's in bed tonight and go from there. Update, April 3, 2024. So, my last post got a lot more responses than I thought it would get. I wasn't going to post an update, but feel like I owe it to all the people telling me to trust my gut. For those asking why my husband hadn't been more abrupt with her, in a nutshell, he always tries to keep the peace. I downplayed how well known he is in our town. He comes from a well-known family in our area, and was a downhill rider in the UCI, and features in various YouTube channels. People come here specifically for the bike trails, and typically wherever he goes, there's usually a handful of people who recognize him and want to say hello. It's not a huge town, everyone knows everyone kind of place, and, like anyone, he would never want people to come away from any interaction with him with a sour taste in their mouth. After our daughter was in bed, I spoke with my husband, told him my thoughts, and he agreed she was being inappropriate, and that he had in no way done or said anything that would indicate he was alright with it. He hoped by ignoring it she would get the hint and leave him be. He didn't want to make things awkward or embarrass anyone and admitted he probably should have said something. So, after reading everyone's comments, there were loads of amazing ways people suggested shutting her down, which in hindsight, would have been an amazing way to stop her in her tracks. However, he didn't want to ruffle feathers, so we went with we're starting to get ready for the baby and have lots to do and simply don't have the time or energy to be spent on the bikes, or meetups, and he will be unavailable to her for the foreseeable suggestions. He typed it up, handed it to me for my approval, and I hit send. Minutes later his phone pings. I'm in the kitchen, he's in the living room, and I see his eyebrows raise and he just looks at me. I go over and he just hands me the phone. The fucking neck on this girl astounds me. She replied, "Okay. Do you think we could meet up quickly tomorrow?" My heart sank. And I knew exactly what that meant. I burst into tears. In my head, this was the start of my world crumbling. My husband tried calming me down and asked me what I'd like him to do, block her there and then, or ask what she wants to see him for. I wish I had just told him to block her, but for some reason, I wanted to know more. He replied asking what meeting up would achieve. She just says there's stuff she would like to talk to him about face to face. I felt like I was literally being punched in the chest and being winded at this point. He eventually gets the point across that he is not going to meet with her and drags it out of her. She tells him that at some point feelings started, that turned into fantasies, and that basically he could do whatever he wanted to her. That I didn't need to know about it and she would be happy to keep it that way. As she put it, her thing. It was more graphic than I'm willing to type. I felt like I was still keeping a level head on it until this point. I lashed out and got very, very angry. Started crying uncontrollably. My body was vibrating with anger. I've barely slept. Woke up crying. Felt like absolute shit all day today. I've already got in touch with our friends who run these Facebook groups she joined and asked them to remove her and make sure she doesn't join again. My husband replied last night and told me it's sorted and I don't have to worry about her. I didn't see the text he sent, but it's there on the iPad, but I can't bring myself to even open the iMessage app after seeing what I saw. It's not fair that someone thinks they can just do something like that regardless of how it's going to impact an entire family. Currently, I don't want him leaving the house. I don't want him to ever go back to the trails. I don't want the dogs even going up there. The fact she has even touched my dogs makes me sick. So there we are. I still feel like my life's slipping away from me. Like someone's trying to steal it. My confidence is shattered. My eyes sting. My head hurts from crying. Don't feel like eating. Don't think I've ever felt as low as I do just now. My husband is trying his best to comfort me, but it will take a while, I guess. He feels very guilty, despite me telling him he's done nothing wrong. I can't believe how quickly my life just changed with a stupid text. So, thank you to everyone telling me to believe my gut. And everyone else who took the time to comment. Edit, I just want to add, that I'm not controlling my husband. I'm not holding him hostage. He had to take them out today. The bike park is almost in our back garden. I'm describing how I feel just now. Like it's a personal attack on me and my family. And I know this happens all over the world. My eyes were never open to it. This man's baby is about to burst out of my body. I don't feel attractive in any sense of the word right now. I feel I'm well within my rights to be a little distraught after seeing a text from a much younger, much fitter girl describing in graphic detail the things she wants my husband to do to her. Relevant comments. Comment 1. You'll be alright, and honestly take comfort that this is probably a lot of pregnancy hormones, and your husband loves the absolute soul out of you. He handled it well, so well, public figure or not, and he's by your side. He's been transparent, upfront, and kind. She tried to crash the party and failed miserably. He's all yours and he wants it to stay that way. I hope you feel better and can do some rationalizing in the meantime. Comment 2. Your life didn't change, you're fine. If nothing else, life got better because you now know that your husband would rather be loyal to you than carry on a secret affair with some hornball side piece. Women pursue married men, men pursue married women. It happens, but your spouse is rock solid. So make sure your actions match your words pertaining to how he did nothing wrong. Good luck with the baby. Comment 3. Did your life really change because you found out someone wanted to sleep with your husband and would do so despite the fact that he is married and has a family? Do you think she's the only one who would be willing to do that? Do you think there are no men out there who would be willing to sleep with you? Your marriage works because you and your husband made a commitment to one another. That commitment is what your lives together are built upon. It's a promise, really, that you made to each other. And it looks like both you and your husband are committed to keeping that promise. It's only natural that other people will find our partners attractive. They see in our partners the same things we see in our partners. Some of those people will have no qualms about destroying a marriage or a family if it means they get to satisfy their desires. The only thing that stands in their way is the promise you and your husband made to each other. The only thing that's different now is that you know the name of one of the people willing to destroy your family for her desires. Your husband seems intent on keeping his promise to you. I really don't think you have anything to worry about. Good for OP for trusting her gut feeling. With all the hormones from being pregnant, I can't imagine dealing with all that. I'm glad that she has a husband she can trust. It's kind of rare in these stories. Anyway, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. I will see you in the next video.